Welcome to the Quantum Healthy podcast. I'm Andeea, a licensed addiction counselor, and along with my co-host, Laura Kissmann, a quantum nutritionist, we will be inviting expert scientists, clinicians, survivors, and thrivers to distill their pearls of wisdom attained from applying quantum biology to their fields of research and everyday lives. Our goal is to bring you easy to understand principles and practices about the study of light, water, and magnetism so you can take your health into your own hands. This episode is sponsored by VIVARAYS, the only eyewear company that truly understands your biology. VIVARAYS are advanced blue light glasses designed with circadian biology in mind. Unlike typical blue blockers, they filter light in harmony with your body's natural rhythms, helping you sleep deeper, feel more energized, and protect your long-term health. We love companies that support biology-backed wellness, and VIVARAYS is leading the way. Use code QUANTUMHEALTHY at VIVARAYS.com to save 15% and support your sleep, focus, and natural energy the way nature intended. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Quantum Healthy podcast. Today we have a very exciting guest. His name is John Warner, and his official biography would be that he was former military. He is a farrier. I'm not sure if he was formerly a farrier, but we'll find out. He was on the first cohort of the Institute of Applied Quantum Biology and with myself. And he is currently a level 2 MovNat coach. And he's a cancer survivor. And we are just super excited to talk to him today. And he's coming all the way from East Texas. So welcome, John.
You bet. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
This is going to be a treat. We know each other. We were on course.
Yep.
As much as you can get to know someone, on a course.
Online.
Yeah. But one of the things that I was struck with was that, and this really came out when we were challenged to do presentations at the end and of the course to graduate. And we both, you and I, were maybe a little more underconfident from some of our peers who, as you know, and I know, have all gone on to be, pretty famous in the quantum biology space. And so both of us presented and we got to see each other's presentations. And I remember thinking, oh my God, mine's so detailed and so thorough. And John's is like, it's simple, but it's so clear. And I wish I could figure out how to do that. So I actually learned from you, to take it back to another level, because that's what people, can learn and
Yes.
easily apply when it's not with all the information, all the details. And but before we talk a bit more about the school and that part of your journey, first, some people may not know what a farrier is. I just wanted to ask you, what is a farrier?
Okay. Well, we trim horses' feet and typically nail shoes on their feet.
Okay.
So we take care of we're the podiatry of the horses.
That's a good way to say it.
We most of the time we shoe horses for their discipline for what they do. But so I'm part-time now compared to what I used to do and what my friends do now. I do about 125 to 150 horses on my books, which is not a lot.
Year?
No,
per year?
No, every 5 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
the hoof cap, so think of your fingernail. The horse's foot is a hoof capsule, and the hoof capsule grows about 3/8 to 5/8 of an inch every month or 5 weeks. So if you don't trim that off, they just keep growing and growing, and they'll break off, and then they can get lame. Now, horses in the wild, they don't have that problem. They travel miles a day to get to food and water. They're always moving. They break off. The horses in the wild that I have seen are typically like, a horse's foot is 3.5 inches, 4 inches, whatever long it is. Actually, I haven't put a tape measure on a horse in forever. I don't measure. It's kind of an art to me. It is a science also, but the horses in the wild, their feet are way longer because they need that protection to move. Because if they were short all the time, they'd be lame and then they would be lunch. So because they live in the wild and there's wild animals you know, how nature works.
Mhm.
So they're really long. So when they break off, when they break a chunk of foot off like that big, they're not sore. They don't hurt. They got plenty. It's excess. It's like
Mhm.
if you let your fingernails grow long and the excess breaks off,
Sure.
no big deal. If it's
Right.
real short and it breaks off, that's a
And the
quick
quick.
that hurts. So it's for the person that don't know anything about horses, it's similar to that. But
Okay.
instead of the nail, it's a capsule. So everything on the outside is not sensitive. It has no nerves or blood supply, but everything on the inside is sensitive and has blood and nerves.
Mhm.
So the outside mimics the inside. So and within the foot, there's a structure called the white line. It's really a yellow line, and that is the shape of the foot, and that's the shape of the coffin bone. So we go, like I show up to a client's house or barn, say every 5 weeks on average, and I'll go and I'll pull the old shoes, I'll trim the feet down, and that's a whole nother podcast that would take too long to explain. But anyway, I trim the feet down, and then if the shoe's still good, not worn very much, I can reset it, or I can make a shoe, which I don't do much anymore unless it's a specialty thing because it takes too much time and it's too hard on that shoulder because you hammer too much. So you can buy shoes, but I still have to shape the shoe to the foot. I have
Gotcha.
to shape that shoe to that white line shape. And there's all kinds of little nuances in there. You can go down a rabbit hole. But basically, I trim feet and nail shoes on their feet.
Thank you for doing what you do.
Yep, you
No,
bet.
I'm friends with horses, so and I grew up with horses, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're a blast.
I've got a burning horseshoe question now that
Go
you've
ahead.
gone there. So when you shoe the horse, is it grounded? Is the horse grounded?
Not after they're shod.
Is that, do you see their health get worse when they're not grounded?
It depends. I don't see that such an issue. I see where they live. Now, okay, it's like this. Okay, so you can do one thing wrong and usually get away with it, but if you
Okay.
do five things wrong, you're probably not going to get away with it. You know what I mean? So if a horse is shod and they live outside, they're not in a stall, their diet's mostly grass and not too much grain, if they're not in a blue lit barn with Wi-Fi, you know, they're now half my
Oh,
barn has Wi-Fi on them. I mean, like
that's so sad.
it is, but our modern world, I mean, the masses still don't get it.
No.
And so anyway, the ones that are inside with shoes and they get rode an hour in an arena a day, I did a podcast with Jackie
I
a
was
little
just
while back.
gotta get you.
Yeah,
We've had her on, she was episode 5 on
yeah.
our
So
Jackie Jolie.
we explain a lot about the 30 years ago, 20 years ago, before all the riders have cell phones on them now. So I see a ton of problems.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't, we got to hear that podcast. We'll have to put it in the show notes, Andeea,
Yeah,
for
we
people
go
to
into
catch.
that a lot, the problems we're seeing and what we didn't see before. And now there's surgeries that they do that weren't even around 30 years ago. There's lamenesses that we see that's like nobody can explain. So yeah, the shoes on them, shoeing, because I'm driving nails into the hoof wall. I mean, just the fact of shoeing the horse is not good. You know what? I mean, it don't hurt them, it don't harm them. We figured out how to do that without harm,
Okay.
but it's not ideal. It's better for them to be out with no shoes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, but you can do it in such a way not to harm the horse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, you know, if the horse lives outside and they're being rode outside and they're not, you know, in a stall, you know, all day with Wi-Fi and blue light blasting them, I don't see too much trouble with them horses.
Mhm.
So I don't know if pulling the shoes would matter on the horses. I still see barefoot horses with them problems that
Gotcha.
have
Mhm.
that bad environment. So I think what I'm doing,
Good point.
although is offensive, I think it's the least offensive thing they're doing now.
Mhm.
So, but I honestly, I've never measured. I've never put a meter on a horse, you know, and see
Or
if
like
they,
a body voltage meter.
right. I've
There's,
never done that. I'll have to do that. I have one.
yeah,
I'll have to do that and
there you
see.
go. Yeah, it would
I
be
have two
interesting.
horses. They live outside. They have a shed they can get under. if the weather's inclement.
Mhm.
And I've grew up in Iowa and I've lived in Iowa as an adult, and they had a place to get under that was warm. And horses aren't like us. We think, 40 degrees is cold. To a horse, that's optimal. They love 40 degrees. And down here, when it's 40, they throw blankets on them. I'm like, but my horses would go out in blizzards. The snow is blowing, it'd be below zero, and they would leave the barn and go stand in the blizzard. I'm
Yeah.
like, what does that tell you? You
My
know?
my brother has horses. At one point, they had up to 30, and he lives in northern Alberta.
Oh,
And yeah, I mean, they got to, minus 50. And
oh yeah.
that's a rare day, but still,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, they'll see minus 40 once a year,
yeah.
usually there. And
Yep.
it's the horses are still outside, and you're just thinking
Oh, yeah.
they're incredible, incredible
They
creatures.
are. They are incredible creatures. They sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
let's talk,
yeah,
let's focus in on you,
yeah,
or
we
let's
could spend an
share.
hour on the horses.
Oh, we totally could. Oh my God. Right. We met at the Institute of Applied Quantum Biology. Something that happened to both you and I, which was unusual, was we were asked to come on that podcast, the Quantum Biology Collective podcast, and we had the same title, how to be a quantum detective.
Yes.
Really, really enjoyed that podcast. We'll have to put a link in the show notes for the listeners to hear the whole story, because we may not be able to draw everything out the way Meredith did on that interview. But so a few things I want to ask is, you were in the military?
Yeah.
What, I was in the military, another thing we have in common. What did you do?
I was
And
in the
how
Marines.
were you?
I was in the Marine Corps, was in the infantry. Yep.
Okay. How many
So
years?
just four.
Oh,
Four.
four. Okay.
I've, you get out and then you get out 20 years later and you think, man, I could be retired,
I
you know.
know.
But then I'm like, I might not be alive either. You know what I mean? And I might
True.
have ended up where I ended up. But no, I was in the Marine Corps. I grew up in Western Iowa, a little small town, and I cooked in a steakhouse for 4 years.
Okay.
And my boss thought, I pretty good. I was like, I would order the food. I would run the kitchen during the week. Of course, Friday and Saturday nights were chaos, so he was back there. But I handled it well. And he thought I was gonna kind of take over and he was gonna go start another one. But I was like wanting out of my small town, which
Mhm.
now I'm back in outside of a tiny small town. It's ironic, isn't it? So I was like, no, no, Brian, I'm out.
Right.
I'm leaving. And then
I gotta go
so
see the world.
yes, the Marine recruiter came and he's this tall, lean man, 6'2", good looking guy with the dress blues on. And I'm like, I'm out of town and I'm going to do that. And
And
that was
and
it. There wasn't no thought. I just wanted out of town.
and
There
did
was
you
no,
get any overseas time?
oh
Any
yes.
deployments? You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were so I was stationed in Hawaii. That was real rough.
That's rough.
Yeah, it was a horrible environment now that I've learned what I've learned, but I mean, when you're ignorant to that, it's paradise. It's like this is amazing. So I love that. But we were in Hawaii and we went to our unit was 2, 3 and Second Battalion, Third Marines, and then I got transferred to Third Battalion, Third Marines. So when you're in them units at that time anyway, you would go to Okinawa, Japan every year for 6 months. So I spent 2 months with 2, 3 in Okinawa, and then spent another tour in Okinawa with 3, 3. And then we were in the first Desert Storm, the
Oh,
Gulf War in 91. Yeah, 90 and 91.
oh,
And so I was over there, and then I've been to Korea, mainland Japan, a lot of different places. Trained in California, Nevada, and the Sierra Nevadas. So just gone traveled a ton. Just
wow.
yeah, I spent half the time in Hawaii. It was like I didn't have 4 years in Hawaii. I was literally there half the time.
Mhm.
So
Oh, you got lucky. I joined the Air Force and ended up working underground for 4 years.
oh wow.
And
Oh
then
yeah.
in a headquarters in Winnipeg. And so
Yeah.
my travel was going to northern bases and the
Oh yeah.
Northwest Territories. So it
Yeah.
wasn't quite as exciting as that.
No, I wouldn't say. Yeah, it was exciting. I loved it,
Yes.
I was in with the first Bush, and then Clinton got elected, and then they were cutting. They were
Mm,
slashing the military. They were cutting bases. Nobody was getting promoted, and they were just downsizing. big time. At least they were in my unit in the Marines where we were,
Mhm.
because we come out of the Gulf War, everything's hunky dory, everything's good, so we're going to cut the military. It's just a cycle.
That happened. That's actually when I left too. Both times. I joined the reserves after, and they cut my job
Oh,
in the reserves too. So I was like, okay, I think the universe is, is talking
yeah,
to me twice here. It's time to change to what my real passion is, even though I love the camaraderie, of the military and the Air
yeah,
Force.
yeah. I was doing a first lieutenant's job, and I was a corporal. I was like, because there was no, but by default. I mean, nobody was there. I mean, I was a good Marine, but it wasn't because I was great. It was just because, there was a lot of ranks in between that nobody was there. Everybody was gone. Everybody had gotten out. So it was like, I'm like, it just wasn't a situation. I was like, this is BS. This is ran horribly. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's my first eye-opening thing about how bad the government's ran. It was like, this is so inefficient. This is not, I was like, I'm out. I'm gone.
Mhm.
I'm out. So I,
Oh,
I got out in 93.
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, same year as me. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Same year. Yeah. Wow.
so we should jump into your story here. So this is really great background, and maybe a little. We definitely want to touch in on your family history, and then your how you ended up coming to quantum biology, and you're just a stellar example of embodying this lifestyle. So I'm sure you'll touch on that throughout. But yeah, what was some of the a little bit of your history just with disease and like what brought you into this
Oh,
space?
Okay. My mom had cancer, was diagnosed with cancer about 10 years ago. It really started there. That's when it started for me. But if we go back, my dad died in, let me get my years right, 25 years ago now. And my mom, we grew up in Iowa, small town. Grandpa had a farm. He had 10 kids. My other grandparents had 4 kids. My dad was the first to pass out of a long line of people passing. Grandparents healthy, grandpa lived in his late 80s. Other 2 grandparents lived in their mid 90s. My grandma turned 97 last Saturday.
uh,
And she just has problems the last couple years. I mean, so you're living into your 90s and then they start getting problems like normal. So what happened, my dad passed. He had esophageal cancer, never smoked, drank very little, like minuscule, like once a year maybe. But he was a truck driver and custom farmed. And in Iowa, they spray. They spray like crazy. I mean, I remember as a kid, I couldn't go with him. They wouldn't let me go because he'd go spray fields, and they're like, "No, you can't go." And I'm like, and I was always curious because I'd be like, "Well, if he can go, why can't I?" You're a kid, you can't go. It's too dangerous. And I'm like, "Well, if I'm can't go, it's too dangerous for him." And they always said I should be a lawyer because I always argued, well, why can't I do this? You're doing it. So
right.
anyway, he sprayed, truck driver, sun's not good in Iowa.
We're
Sprayed.
assuming that's like we're hinting at glyphosate or some kind of pesticide
Oh, this is anhydrous ammonia he would spray. He'd spray like similar to what Roundup is. It wasn't Roundup at the time.
or something.
Yeah, they would spray. I remember anhydrous ammonia, like they still spray that there. They spray glyphosate now, and then they spray pesticides on the crops. So you're getting bathed in toxins.
Mitochondrial toxins, right?
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
Plus you get that with the sun, plus you eat out of season there because nothing grows in Iowa in the winter because it's really, really cold and there's no sun, so nothing grows there. So everybody eats out of season, which is another
Mhm.
mitochondrial toxin.
Yeah.
So anyway, my dad got sick and he died when he was 51.
Oh, I was
So
gonna guess he was younger because I'm thinking you said 25 years ago, and you're not that old. Or you
right.
look really young,
I'm
John.
older than you. Thank you. There's a lot of gray here. No, I'm
Well,
54.
I'm
So
54. Okay, so
yeah.
yeah,
So he
so
died. He was the first to die of I've had
oh.
4 aunts and uncles die of cancer since then on my mom's side, all in
Were
their
these
50s.
like smokers at all, or
No, no,
was there anything obvious that no? Oh,
nope.
that's no.
Um,
Oh, that's sad.
all, all. I don't know you get from I call them the white coats, the doctors. I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful to doctors. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just
No.
saying that's what I got. I don't know. We don't know. Because you ask why, why? Well, we don't know. We don't know. And
Is
a
that
lot of them don't.
idiopathic? Is that the word? Or there's a
Uh,
fancy word they use where
Sounds
they
right. Yeah. And they don't learn that. I mean, I'm not hammering on them. They don't learn that. So anyway, that's not what this is about. But anyway, so I never thought I was always kind of decentralized, but I never thought about that when I was younger, when that was happening to my aunts and uncles and my dad. And I'm just, well, this is just life. I was never, didn't even question it. Well, they don't know. Okay, they're the expert,
Mhm.
so I just go on and then go to my mom, 10 years ago or so. And she went in for a gallbladder. It was in December and we were up. It was right day after so of Christmas, and I had a day of work to do, and then we were taking like 10 days off and hunting up in East Texas where I live now. And she called that night when we finished, and she said, "Hey, I'm going to emergency room," and she was about 2 hours away. My gallbladder, I think's messing me up. Well, I got to the hospital late that night. The doctor walks in with an ultrasound and thing to Dr. Lee, an oncologist, and said, "Hey, there's a big tumor in your." And he was one of the first doctors, like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "What kind of lifestyle do you have?" He was like kind of scolding her a little bit. And I'm like, "Hey, she's obviously, I was like, but
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
good.
another time to ask this question,
Right,
right?
but it's still I didn't understand it right at the time, but I got what he was getting at. He's like, "What do you do?" And what she was doing, she was working in an office, leaving at sunrise before sunrise, coming home after sunset with a couple screens in front of her with the fluorescent lights, and she was there all day, driving an hour to get there and back in Houston, driving into Houston and out. So it was like just horrible environment. And then plus, you never know. I've asked people how long, are the seeds set, for this when you're a child or when she grew up in Iowa and her oncologist says, yeah, I believe that has something to do with it,
Mhm.
and she said it was her environment because her oncologist actually did the genetic testing on her. And all my aunts and not all of them, but the last couple, they didn't do the genetic testing at first because I don't think they had it or they just didn't do it. But the last couple that had cancer and my mother, were like, yeah, we did the genetic testing and it's not genetic. And
Wow.
I'm like, hmm. So that made me think.
The
And then
environment is
yes, and she
playing
even said it's
a
the
huge
environment.
role. Pulling the trigger or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Yes, yes, it was the environment. And I'm like, I got to thinking, and I was already starting to exercise then in a gym and trying to, get fit and be healthy. So people are like, well, if you don't know anything, if you don't aren't in this quantum health world and you don't know anything about health, I was like, well, what's healthy? Well, you look around and you see a bodybuilder or, somebody at the gym that's really fit and you're like, well, they look healthy. They're not overweight. And that's
Mhm.
like, oh, I need to do that. That's how my health journey started. And I'm like, well, that didn't work because I'd go to the gym every day and I'd never like hurt myself bad, but I always be strained something or pulled something. And I had a bunch of horses to do then. So I was like, well, I can't do this because I need to work and this hurts. So I need to stop doing this for a while. And I never put two and two together at the time because I just, I didn't know.
Mhm.
And I was working out in a blue lit gym with non-native EMF at the wrong time of the day, eating too much food out of season.
So typically mornings or after
Oh
work,
yeah, I had to start in the mornings because in the evening I was too tired after a
the only
day's.
time you could fit it in.
Yeah, I was like,
Right.
yeah, I'm wore out. I don't have time for this.
Right.
So it was early in the morning. Yeah, total wrong time to work out. So anyway, mom ended up with, and she beat it. She's still here with us and she's doing good, which is good. But I started to dig. I was like, because I asked the oncologist, and mom did chemo, and I was in the office. I went to all the visits with her, and she's like, and mom's like, okay, we'll do chemo. And Dr. Lee, great surgeon, amazing surgeon, great person, but she's doing this on chemo, and she goes, there's a 5% chance this could come back, and I'm like, wow, you did good, mom. I'll take that.
Mhm.
And she goes, well, I think we should do some chemo. And mom's like, okay, whatever it takes. And I'm like, and I just said, that's a horrible idea because I'd already started digging a little into it, and it's chemo's not a good percentage of it. It's a mitochondrial toxin. The percentages aren't good on it. It just it kills you faster. And you can look it up if you like, and not YouTube, but if you, you know, whoever listens, if they don't believe me, they can look all this up. So anyway,
And
and
it's
she,
such an individual choice, right?
it
Like
is, it is.
some people will do the chemo and because they have such a strong belief in it, right? And a belief in their oncologist that for them it might be the right decision and they do well with it.
Right, right.
And
And
but
I'm not,
yeah.
I'm what I say here, I'm not here to judge anybody's
And
decision.
this is everybody listening, not medical advice at
Right,
all. This is we're
right.
just trying to have a conversation. And
Yes.
it's yeah.
So Dr. Lee was, you know, she's not a dummy. She goes, no, no, he can talk, let him talk. And this time I didn't know nothing about light, nothing. I knew about food, you know, and I didn't even understand food as being tied to photosynthesis. I just knew good food, bad food, you know.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I think it's a lot food, and I do think it's a lot environment, and I think it's her job. I just knew stress wasn't good, you know,
Mhm.
'cause she had a high stress job. You know, she was like the personal assistant to the COO, and then you put her on salary. And my mom's Norwegian and Irish, so she would go into the meetings, and what everybody else wouldn't say, she would say. So she had a high stress job, and she got paid well for it, but she traded time for money without knowing. And so,
That yeah.
yes. So I started digging deeper, and I started listening to podcasts. You know, my first journey on it was food, you know, and we need to eat healthy, organic, you know, all this. I grew up in Iowa, so I was like, that's why I couldn't go with my dad. All that spray they were spraying on our food, you know, and they do
Basic
it.
holistic nutrition, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I went. And then I was listening to a Ben Greenfield podcast, and he was interviewing Jack Kruse.
The one I heard.
Yeah, they're
That's
one of the
part of
first
it for
ones he did. Yeah, and I was like, man. And this was about, you know, I don't know, 3 or 4 years
20, man,
after
2013.
mom. Yeah, it's been a while.
Hmm.
I'd have to do the math. It might not be exact, but it was a little while after mom got cancer. And I was like, and at the end, you know, he's like, well, what do we do? You know, and he goes, be like the Sphinx, eat like a great white shark, and live like a polar bear. You know, I'm like, I can do that. That's, you know, I don't mind the cold, and, you know, I can get up at sunrise. I'm up anyway. I might as well go spend my time outside purposefully in the sun instead of sitting inside drinking a pot of coffee. You know, I can do that. And so I started doing that, and I've always slept good because I have a very physical job and I'm tired. But I would wake up and have to I drank like 2 pots of coffee a day. I drink a pot in the morning and carry a thermos with me. I love coffee. And it wasn't good coffee either. It's just junk. And so I started watching the sunrise, and my sleep got better. And I'm like, wow, I feel good. I have more
Because you
energy.
didn't have to wake up to go pee in the night
No,
several times.
I, I had to do that not very often, but I quit
Yeah.
doing it. I don't have to do that.
No.
And so I didn't wake up at all. I sleep through the night. Last night I slept 8.5 hours straight through. It's like, oh,
Which is probably getting rare for a 54-year-old male, to be
I think
honest.
so. I
Yeah.
think so. I think so. So
Actually, females too, to be honest.
yeah,
I was thinking prostate. Yeah, but
yeah, it is. It's rare for both to get a good night's sleep. Well, if you ask anybody, you know, hey, how's your sleep? Most people be like, oh, it's not good. It's not good. Or I gotta take this, or I gotta take that.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I don't take anything. I don't take no pharmaceuticals, no drugs, no blood pressure, no nothing.
Take any supplements at all?
Nope, no supplements, nothing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nothing.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's
Which
all,
we haven't gotten into the reason why there's a downside to supplements with the high
yes.
deuterium aspect,
Yeah,
but
well,
hopefully we'll get to that.
yeah,
Maybe in another podcast, but
that's a
yeah,
whole nother podcast, right?
yeah.
Right.
Just in case people are wondering why we're not so keen on
Yes,
supplements.
and there are times where certain people might need certain supplements. I mean, they're not a bad thing,
Mhm.
but back to the health journey, when I was going to the gym, I was taking a ton of supplements. I was doing the supplement thing in the gym and I was spending quite a bit of money on supplements. And when
Bodybuilding.com.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
What
Exactly. It's a
that is.
billion-dollar business. Yeah. So I,
Yep.
once I started doing all this, I quit taking them and I saved money. And I'm like, wow, I feel good. I have more energy and I'm saving money. And all I got to do is go outside and watch the sunrise. And I started with 20 minutes. Simple. And then, of course, I've lived in a good environment at that time. There wasn't a lot of population around there.
This is Texas?
Yeah, this is Southeast Texas.
Southeast Texas. Okay.
Yes. So, and then I learned, oh, Wi-Fi, that's not good. So I started shutting my Wi-Fi off at night, and it just shut it off. If I wasn't using it at all, I just turn it on for when I need it, like now.
Mhm.
And so I shut my Wi-Fi off when I'm not using it. So that helps.
Do you
And
carry a cell? Did you carry a cell phone back then?
before, yeah, I had a cell phone and I just carry it wherever. I'd carry it in my pocket. I just leave it. I didn't think about it. If I needed to go in somewhere, I stuck it in my pocket. I just, I didn't even think about it. And then after, going down the quantum rabbit hole, I'm like, well, now if it's on my body, it's off. I don't even have it on airplane on my body because it still collects and sends information. So I just turn it off if I have to carry it somewhere on my body.
I can't always get around that because I'm listening to podcasts. So it's
Well,
in
yeah,
there,
yeah.
they're downloaded, they're in airplane mode. But what I have started doing finally is I've got a pouch that at least stops the radiation to my
Oh,
body. So because
yeah,
there's still a magnetic field, and they
yes,
say you can get some dirty electricity from the cell phone. So
for
so good
sure.
for you. Good for you. I'm just a
I,
little addicted to podcasts. That's all.
well, I am too, but I can set it on a speaker when I'm not working and plug it into
Yeah,
a speaker like direct auxiliary cord and just walk away from it and still hear it.
still
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said before in other podcasts, I'm not perfect. I listen to podcasts when I'm driving because I live 2 hours from where I work.
Yeah.
So I actually drive less by doing that because I lived hours to 2 hours away
Hmm.
and sometimes 3 hours away from barns I used to have. So I would drive an hour or two every day, 5 days a week. And now I drive 4 hours or five, give or take, depending on where I'm working. And when I'm here, I drive very little. But when I'm driving that drive, I mean, I know that's not good. Sunroofs open, windows open.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
It's
Yeah.
plugged into auxiliary, and it's still not good. But
But do you
I'm
have, yeah, but do you have it? So you have a cord,
yeah, it's plugged in
right?
auxiliary.
And then
Yes,
do you have the podcast downloaded?
sometimes depends.
Okay.
It just depends if I have time or if
Right.
it's not every time.
Yeah.
So the point is, you don't like it's the horse. You don't have to be perfect,
Yeah.
but because don't let good, what's the saying? Don't let
Don't let perfect be the
perfect
enemy of
be
good.
the enemy of good. Right. And if you have a disease like a couple years ago, we'll get into, I
Yeah.
was, so anyway, I found out about Dr. Jack Kruse and started going down his rabbit hole and it's really deep,
I think
but
we're all still in it, aren't we?
oh, I'm deep in it. And it's
I know. I
the
read every
deeper I
blog.
get, you see a light and it's like it goes way deeper. It's like,
I
wow.
know. Well,
It,
we have an interview with him, so it just came out. So you'll have to, if you
oh,
haven't heard.
okay. Yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's on the list. I can't keep up with all I listen to. It's
Oh,
on
it's a good one. He
good.
was in flow. Yeah.
Yep, he usually
Yeah.
is.
And he no, he brought out some really relevant tying into Becker,
Oh
cancellation
yeah.
of Becker and the implications of that. And then he gets into the mitochondria and oh, I gotta, I won't give it
Yep.
away. Everybody has to hear it. It's pretty
Yep.
special.
So anyway, I found Kruse at the end of 19, right before Corona. And I was like, that's when it all clicked for me. And so I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then Corona happened and everything shut down, except I got busy. That's usually how the horse world works. The horse world is funny because it's not tied so much to the economy anymore. It was years ago, like in the 80s when oil boomed, all these people down here that had horses, they weren't spending no money. or when the oil crashed in the early 80s. They said it was bad. But anything like Corona in 20, I hired a helper. I got busy. I was like running. And I felt good. I was rolling, I was,
You got to leave your house. The rest of us
yeah,
were stuck.
yeah.
But
So
Texas
I
was
was,
pretty open too, right? Compared to the
yeah,
rest of the world. Yeah.
yeah. So, well, yes and no. It had its points, but if you were essential, you know, and I was like, I don't care. I'm going to work unless they got the roads blocked. I mean, I'm whatever. So anyway, so 2020, I'm rolling, working hard, feel great. I'm 49-ish. It takes too long to do the math, just whatever it is. But so I'm feeling real good, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna be the fittest, baddest 50-year-old there is. And so the next year rolls around and it's pretty good. And then one day in January, the next January, I didn't have my helper anymore. He moved on and I wasn't quite as busy because things got back to normal and because I took on a lot of horses and people went back to work, and if they weren't serious, they kind of put their horses by the wayside, kind of. There's them kind of horse owners out there. So anyway, I got back to normal and my back started flaring up a little bit. I got a lot of Marines that started my back problems because you put 80 pounds on your back and just, hey, see that mountain over there? Let's go up that. So anyway, I've always had a little back issues, and I'm not a rich man, but always horseshoers are greedy. They don't say no. So they end up working too much and driving too much, so you overwork yourself. So my back flared up, and one day in January I couldn't get out of bed. I lay down and I sat up and I couldn't move. I was like paralyzed, and I'd fall back down in relief and like, breathing because I couldn't breathe when I was up for the few seconds. And so after about, I don't know, 20 minutes of that, and Charlize, my wife, she's tough. She's like, what's wrong with you? You know, suck it up. And I'm like, no, this is different. This is like, because I've been, you've had some back pain before, and you're like, oh, my back hurts, and you just go to work, or stretch it. I stretched good always. And so anyway, I finally just threw myself out of the bed because I could not sit up and move over and get out of the bed. So I just inched over and just flopped out of the bed and went to a chiropractor. I got to get some relief, so I knew I didn't want to go to the doctor. I'm like, I don't want to go to the doctor. Something's out, something's not right. Something's out of whack. I can get an adjustment.
Mhm.
So I went to a guy and he helped me. I got better. And I'm like, I'm curious. And I'm like, why is this happening? So I went back to work. And I'm like, all right, Charlotte, I'm scheduling a consult with Kruse. I'm gonna figure out. I had X-rays, I had my history, my blood work, and I went out there to Louisiana to his clinic, and I got a consult. And he's like, you got to have an MRI. And I'm like, I wish I'd have known that. I should have known that, And I'm like, I got X-rays. He goes, don't care. Got to have an MRI. The X-rays don't mean nothing to me. I have to have an MRI. So
An
we didn't.
MRI of your back?
Yes,
He
yes.
he often does an MRI of the brain, right?
Right, but he knew, well, right, but he's like, got to have an MRI of the back because he knew I was a horseshoer. You know,
Mhm.
he goes, the X-rays mean nothing. I got to have an MRI.
Mhm.
So that led to the point, and I'm like, okay. So I got home. That was late April. I got home, and I'd go back to work, and I'd have a good day, and I wouldn't hurt, and I'd feel good. I'm like, I'm not getting an MRI. And then the next day I'd be a little sore, and I'm like, I better get an MRI. You know how you do, you play with
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
mental game with
I'm
yourself.
invincible. No,
Yes, yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
still
invincible. I'm
20
invincible.
and I'm in my 50s at that point. So I scheduled the MRI, and I went and seen I shod horses for a guy my mom was a physician. He was a DNA specialist. So I'd go to their office to get blood work and stuff. And so had to go see them to do my MRI. And they're like, why you need MRI? So I couldn't get out of my bed. My back's hurt and I want to figure out what's wrong. So they order the MRI, get the MRI. The next afternoon, he calls me, he says, get in my office now. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he was an hour away. I'm like, dude, John, it's 4 o'clock and I'm an hour away. I'm not coming to your office now. What do you need? And then it just, it was like a punch in the face. And he was like, you need to come to the office. And I'm like, why? He goes, I can't tell you why. And I'm like, oh, medical stuff. And then all the family history, because you go into doctor's offices and you go to hospitals and you go to rehab places and you know the language, and I'm like, why do I need to come in? He goes, I can't tell you. You have to get, and he goes, you know what? It's 4 o'clock. Can you be here in the morning? I'm like, why? He goes, well, let me ask you this. Can you get another MRI in the morning? And I'm like, oh, I can play your game. And he's not the doctor. He's a DNA specialist calling for his mother. And he's like, you need another MRI on your right kidney. And I'm like, you can't see what's on the MRI. He goes, just get in my, we were friends. He goes, get in my
Okay.
office tomorrow. I'm arguing with you need to be in my office tomorrow. This is very serious. I'm like, I get it. I'll be there. So I go take another MRI and I had a tumor about like so on my right kidney. On top of it, it was actually just barely touching my liver. So, that's like, wow. It's like, I was a year and a half or so with Kruse. I wasn't a full on, I was a silver member, which is kind of a lower. I basically didn't start reading the blogs until after that. I just listened to podcasts because I drove a lot. So and he's done 1,000 podcasts. So I knew enough, but okay. I was like, this is a big punch in the mouth. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So I asked, I'm like, what should I do? And he goes, you got a couple options. You can just remove your kidney. You got another one. There's a couple treatments you can do that's like new or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not, and it wasn't chemo. I can't even remember what the other therapies were. It don't matter. But
Instead of surgery, like instead of surgery?
yes, yes. And I didn't even look into that. And at that time, I'm like, I wonder if I can cure this naturally. And And I'm thinking, yeah, I can. But then everybody's telling me the kidney filters the blood. So if the cancer gets in the blood and gets in your bloodstream, you're done. I mean, you're pretty much dead. The reason kidney cancer is so dangerous, there's no symptoms unless you have some pain. And I had some pain there, but I have other pain in my back. But I had pain right there that I've never felt since. It was obviously that I always thought that was muscle pain. I'm a horseshoer. I got back pain. Whoop-de-doo. But so I opted for surgery because I was like, they put me in touch with a great surgeon outside of Houston, super good guy, great surgeon, didn't know anything about light. I go in there with my blue blockers and he goes, why are you wearing them red glasses? And I'm like, because of your crappy lights in your office. And then I'd tell him a little bit. I didn't know a ton at the time, but I explained a little bit and he'd kind of listen and he was busy. He was running them through like cattle. He don't have an hour to sit and chit chat about light. And so anyway, I opted to get surgery because they were just going to cut the tumor off the top. The kidney was working great. Everything was working fine, but they were going to go in and cut the tumor off. But they ended up taking the whole kidney because the main vein draining the kidney was entangled in the tumor and it was too risky of a surgery. They didn't want to do a blood transfusion on me. It was in the middle of Corona or kind of toward the end of Corona. It was during all that. And I wouldn't have got the surgery if I didn't have the jab, the Corona. I didn't get that. I was jabbed in the Marines. Go back to the Marines,
Oh
they
yeah,
pick you up
you and
and
me
pop,
both.
they pop, pop, pop. So thankfully I probably wouldn't have done that if I would have had to do that. So I didn't do that. All they had to do was test me before surgery. Surgery went fine, but this may be a little hard to get out. I'm kind of laughing so I can say it. It's not funny, haha, but my dad was 51 when he died. I was 51 when I had my surgery on my dad's birthday. I had my surgery on my dad's birthday, and I didn't even realize it till like 2 days before. Because when you're overwhelmed with the cancer word, the C word, you're not, you just lose focus of everything. And I'm a pretty stubborn guy, pretty decentralized, but I don't care who you are, it hits you hard, you know. And it was like the couple days before, I was like, oh my God, I'm having surgery on my dad's birthday. He died when he was 51 and I am 51. And I'm
Gotcha.
Oh,
Both did the
I
same
don't,
thing.
yeah,
We're
I
saying
don't
a prayer
know.
for you here.
Yeah. I was like, at first thought, I was like, I don't know if I should do this. You know what I mean? It's like, should I get on the operating table? This is a little weird. So
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, it was a pretty wild ride there. But the blessing of it, I was never sick. You know, like my mom had a lot of issues with her gallbladder, and obviously, you know, she had some health problems before. She didn't feel good a lot of times. I had my back pain, and I'm like, well, it's just a sore muscle. It's some horseshoe, no big deal.
No
Well,
chemo, no radiation, strictly
no, I
surgery.
told them all. I'm like, and I told them, I said, I'm not doing anything after this surgery. I don't care what you say. And they're like, and the first, my friend John, his mother was like, oh, we'll see. And I'm like, you can say what you want. I'm not doing it. And the surgeon, the urologist who did the surgery, he's like, no, we don't do chemo for kidney surgery. That's not a thing. And I'm like, okay, good, because we were gonna have a big fight because I'm not doing it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that was good. I didn't have to fight him on that. So it's about just under 3 years later, and I'm actually
I
having
was gonna
what?
say, I remember when we got back together.
Yeah, it was an event.
It was some event, and then you actually said, "Listen, I got to catch you guys up. I actually, going through
Yes.
cancer right now." It's like, what? Because we saw you as this, healthy guy. You would, and in your presentation to us, you showed like John before and John after, and
Yeah,
you weren't like really heavy, but you looked
flame.
svelte, like
Yeah. Oh
quantum
yeah.
savage. Like, you looked
Yes.
amazing.
I felt like it pretty much. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, because I had a transformation back there when I quit going to the anyway. So when Kruse's work, I quit going to the gym. You know,
Okay.
I'm like, well, I'm in a blue lit gym with non-native EMF all around me. I'm like, this is why I'm banged up all the time. This is why I have these little nagging aches and tears and stuff. I could still work, but I couldn't, I couldn't deadlift nothing. I couldn't do stuff in the gym I wanted to do. And I'm like, oh, this is why. So I started exercising outside.
Hmm.
And then he turned me on. Then he's Jack and Irwan LaCour, the founder of MovNat, are friends. So
Yes.
Jack's a fan of Irwan because Irwan does most of his stuff outside. He does
Mhm.
some stuff inside, but most of his stuff is outside. And I'm like, this is all I have to do. That's the transformation with all the quantum stuff after the gym didn't change me.
No.
All the quantum stuff, the light, me minding my light environment, me getting in a cold tub, and it's all free. It's you got to buy some ice or get some water cold. That costs a little, but watching the sunrise and going outside barefoot and shutting your Wi-Fi off at night and not going to the gym is all free. And it's pretty simple. You don't have to like do a bunch of crazy stuff. It's so simple and easy, people don't believe it.
Mhm.
Because we're so intelligent nowadays, and I'm like, well, I don't believe that. The age you look at the ancients and what they did, I'm like, I think they have us beat. But I
Wow.
mean, we have laptops and we can talk like this. That's cool, but I'm wondering if they couldn't do that either, because a lot of the civilizations have the same carvings. It's like, how'd they do that? But anyway, so my
You,
change happened in the quantum space, when I started going outside, when I started spending more time outside. And I still worked a lot, but when I was off, I was outside. I was out in my backyard. It was private. I could be naked or almost naked, and just be out in the sun. I recovered better. Everything, that the transformation in that quantum space you've seen was simply being outside
Mhm.
and just switching everything to outside. And
Yeah.
my work is outside. Even if I'm in a barn,
No, you're ahead of most of us, right?
right? But I have clothes on, and I used to see what brought me to the cancer was 47 years or 48 years, however long it was. I wore sunglasses.
Right.
I'm 99.7 Northern European. So you got to wear sunscreen. You're going to burn. So
That's right.
every time I went outside at the river or the beach, I'd lather with sunscreen and put clothes on, because I was going to burn
Mhm.
and wore sunglasses. And, when I'm shoeing horses, I mean, you can't shoe horses naked, so you got clothes on. So are you really outside? You know,
Sure. So you would have been UV deficient,
Oh,
but
big,
not necessarily infrared, because we just
That
interviewed
goes through.
Scott. Yeah, Scott Zimmerman. So the infrared goes through the clothes. So at least you're ahead on that, you
yes,
know.
yes, I had some advantages. Yes, for
Mhm.
sure. I mean, if just look around today, you don't have to be a scientist, you just have to be a critical thinker and observer. A lot of people aren't getting outside and are not getting even the infrared they need, and they're bathed in, you know, like when I come down, I have a camper here, but sometimes I don't stay in it from where I'm at. It's just too far to drive. And I'll get an Airbnb or a room for the night just to, unplug everything. It's one night, but, if you go to a hotel room, look at the ceiling, 6 or 8 cans of LED lights. It's
Mhm.
like, why do we need to see that so good? You're in a hotel room sleeping,
I
it's
bring
like,
a light bulb with me. I always travel with an
yeah.
orange light bulb. Yeah.
I
And
usually have a red or a UVA or something.
yeah.
So anyway, so after that, after my kidney surgery, I was pretty much a hawk. I didn't stay in hotel rooms. I didn't have my phone on when I drove at all. I didn't, you know, I it got to the point where everybody was like, "Yeah, you're a little over the top." And I'm like, "I'm over the top. I just had an organ removed, and this is why." I figured out why before I had the problem. And then I had the problem. But it was all the years how I lived. I first started, I grew up in Iowa. I never minded. I always had the lights on at night. Light at night trashes your melatonin, which wrecks your sleep. And I always slept good because you can work hard and sleep good. You can get a decent night's sleep. But if you wreck, but we had incandescents at that time also. We didn't grow up with LEDs. And so they weren't as bad, but now there's LEDs. Melatonin scavenges cancer. I mean, if you wreck your melatonin, you're basically killing your immune system
Yeah.
or part of it. And it's like just light at night simply does that. So if you have your lights on at night, and I never minded that for 40 some years.
Yeah.
So, and then in the Marines, military bases, they're horrible environment.
Radar.
Yeah, radar. And they've
Mhm.
had technology. I mean, we didn't get it being in the Marines and the infantry. You didn't, here's a rifle and some sand, go have fun, but they had a technology, the military's had technology way back before, before this iPhone. They had stuff like that way back when. They've always had more technology than the public ever knew. And then that, and then
My last job, I was about a kilometer from a radar, and I used to go walk like for at lunch hour. I'd go walk down the road towards it. Not then it was small, but it was
yeah,
spinning. And I
still,
remember I was thinking, I'm getting outside, I'm getting sunlight,
yeah,
and I used to walk towards it.
yeah. Well, you don't know.
Second last job.
I think in the podcast I did with Meredith, I think I tell the story when we lived somewhere before. When Wi-Fi first came out, they had an antenna a mile or so down the road, and our router, the best signal was in the bedroom window sill right here.
You're
Got
lucky you
that
didn't get
going.
brain cancer.
I know. It's like for
Yeah.
a year it was right there, and it's like, man, it's like, some people,
Just
if
didn't know. We didn't know
no,
back
you
then.
just didn't know, and
And the thing is, it's invisible. So,
it
and even
is.
if you do know, I don't know about you guys, but you do know and you tell people, they don't necessarily, it's like they just, ignorance is bliss.
It
And
is.
it's easy just to forget about the waves, and just get, go back to what's easy. And I tell people if it was smoke, if the non-native EMFs were actually in a smoke form, we would all pay attention because we could see it.
Yeah,
Well, we still to breathe because there would be way too much smoke.
Right, but it's our mitochondria that can't breathe, right? Their respiration's affected, right?
very much so, very much so. And I always tell people that don't believe, I said, just prove me wrong, because most of the ones I tell have problems. I mean, we all have problems,
Mm.
but if you can't sleep, you don't go watch the sunrise, you got stomach issues, and this is my aunts and uncles had got it in their 50s and 60s. I got it in my early 50s. I have cousins in their 30s that have health issues.
Mhm.
And when my mom got chemo, she said there was women in their 30s getting chemo for breast cancer.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't have to be a scientist or a rocket scientist to just look around and figure out what's changed. Because
Yeah.
our grandparents never had that. I mean, my
Lit-
grandma, I think she got breast cancer at 96 and died a few months later, not from breast cancer, died with it,
Yeah.
and she smoked. And I'm like, hmm, you know, so it's like, it's not genetic because our grandparents didn't have it and they didn't have any diseases till they got like way elderly,
Yep.
Mhm.
if they even did get a disease. And now the aunts and uncles got it in their 50s and 60s. We're getting in our 30s. I'm the oldest grandchild out of a pile of us. I got it first when I was 51. And then all of them are getting walloped at 30 in their 30s.
Yep. That
Not
just
all of them, but the ones that are getting walloped are in their 30s.
well, that just goes to show the like the prevalence of it is getting higher and higher if people who are young, because those are the people who grew up with the cell phones.
Yes.
Phones were already like a thing, and
They've
yeah.
never been without them and they've always been like in their pockets, on their bodies.
Well, yeah, I was going to tell you they're finding the tumors are shaped as a cell phone. The women who put their phone
Really?
in their bra, they will find the tumor is in the shape of
Oh,
a cell
wow.
phone.
I didn't even know that.
That was a few years ago. I actually
Oh,
used
I
to do a
didn't know that.
presentation, and it's a doctor. I used to play the video where he was skeptical, the doctor, but it
Yeah.
was when he finally mapped it out, and it was an Asian woman, and she was the first. I don't know if there's been more, but I know her case was really looked at, and she didn't have the BRCA gene. It's rare, I think, for Asian women to have that form of
Yes.
breast cancer, and yeah, so that's what they pieced together, but the breast cancer too, we have to highlight that there's a really strong link to artificial light at night. So
Yes.
not, the cell phone, that is a form of light, but yeah, so and just add that on, right?
Yes. And I don't have the study in front of me. I could look it up, but it'd take too much time. I keep them on emails and folders. But if you can go look it up, the audience, y'all probably know UV exposure reduces breast cancer.
Right.
The women who get UV exposure on their breast, typically they don't go into the oncology office.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's
You
so,
can try to get in the sun with as naked as
yeah,
possible.
exactly.
Well,
But that's the culture thing, isn't it?
I
It's
know.
like, especially here in the South, and I'm telling on my wife, but it's a Southern thing. You dress nice, you wear your makeup, you fix your hair, and then she stopped working of right after her mom passed, right before the fall before I was diagnosed, her mom passed, and then she quit work right about then, right in that time. And so she get, what do you do when you go to work? You get up, fix your hair, put your makeup on, put your clothes on and go to work and blue light all day. And now she's home and she's a baker, so she's inside some, but she's not a full-time baker. So she has time to go outside now. And it was just so weird for her to put her bathing suit on and go outside and do nothing for an hour or go garden or go do something in the yard with her bathing suit on. That was just so foreign to her, and now I don't have to tell her. Now she goes in the sun in the afternoon every morning, every afternoon, not every afternoon, but most. She's out in the sun in her kaniki. And it's like, but before it was like, oh, I can't be out here in my bikini. I'm like, why not? Why can't you? Who made that rule? And it's like, it's so simple. I said, you can go here or you can go, and I'm tough. I'm tender and gentle with her when I need to be, but I don't hide the truth from her with health or anything or anybody. Like when her mom was sick or when I was sick, hey, this. And I said, look, you can go in the sun or you can go in an oncology office. I'm like,
Well,
you got a choice.
Yeah.
I pray that never happens, but look around, just look around. I'm like, the chance, 100 years ago, your chances were about that much of getting breast cancer. Now it's what, 1 in 2, 1 in 3.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I'm like, people don't believe it. And I just ask them to prove me wrong because it's all free. It's all simple. All you got to do, if you live in a bad environment, you need to do more. If I would have kidney cancer today, I might move to the tropics and try to fly back every 3 or 4 months and get checked to see how the tumor's doing if I had it today. Because there's days I think, did I do the right thing? And I think that's human nature.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, of course you did the right thing. You had cancer, you got to go cut it out of you. And I'm like, well, I read all these stories of people healing this thing. And I didn't know about ivermectin then, and I was like, well, I probably, because of the timing with the cancer getting in the blood, I didn't know the timing. So like if they told me I had prostate cancer today, I'm out. I'm going to the tropics. I'm going to live on a volcano where there's no people, where I could be naked in the sun, where nobody's around. That's what I'd do. I wouldn't go the centralized route. And I told them that. I said, because I've had it before, not to say, I mean, all my scans and blood work have been good since for 3 years now. Everything's good, but you never know. Am I still doing too much wrong? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's when you have it, that question weighs on you.
Yes.
And so I do everything I can and still try to live a normal life, but everybody says you're not normal, which is good. You don't want to be normal in this world today, but you don't have to, if you're not sick or don't have a disease, you still need to get in nature. You still need to see the sunrise. You still need to see the sunset. You still need to get some UV because our environment from 100 years ago or 150 years ago has drastically changed. You can't get away with that anymore. You got to candles at night. If you need to see red light, you can light enough candles where you can see, and that's the least offensive light at night. It's still offensive, but it's the least offensive.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you how you mitigate artificial light at night, because in your podcast with Meredith, you mentioned using candles. Are you really strict with that? Do you?
Yes, and if we need to see, I have a couple of little red light panels, and then I have a UVA, little cheap Amazon UVA light that I turn on. But that's
Oh,
rare. That's
you're
rare.
next level, John.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's candles. It's pretty much candles. Night in and night out, it's candles. And
Do
I
you
got
do you ever watch TV at night?
sometimes, yep,
Just
and
with blue blockers and
blue blockers, yep. And you can tell the blue blockers don't last forever because I don't wear, I can see close up perfect and I can see good enough distance. I used to wear glasses. I don't wear glasses anymore. I just quit wearing them and my eyesight's gotten better.
Yep.
So I have prescription glasses because I can see the TV because we sit a good ways away from it. We watch some shows in the winter mostly because it gets dark, and we'll watch a show at night or two, and we're covered up, blanket or robe, blue blockers on because the light on your skin matters too.
it
You know,
does.
just don't be.
Melanopsin receptors there.
Yes, so you got to be covered up, and you think, well, it's not a lot. You're chilling on the couch, just put a robe on or put a blanket on. And so I wear my blue blockers, but I had a pair, and one day I put my non-prescription on, and they were way darker than my prescription pair. And I'm like, oh, them are wore out. So I ordered a new pair, and I had to go get a new prescription, which my eyesight got better. And so the blue blockers don't last forever. Some of that film wears off, I guess, because they were like, these ain't even, and they were a little difference. But when I put the other ones on, the non-prescription ones on, it was night and day. I was like, oh, wow, so you got to pay attention to kind of what you're doing because even the little things change.
Well,
And
I've definitely gotten a blue light hangover from wearing, I was still protected, still had the blanket on, and I'm always like underneath the chin.
Thyroid right there.
And if I watch it too late into the evening, because a lot of times if it's getting too late, we'll just watch the rest the next day. But sometimes we're like, let's power through it. And
Yeah.
this is usually like on the weekend or whatever, but I will wake up not feeling good, even though I was still
Yeah.
protected. And
Yep.
so this
Still
is,
on your face.
Yeah, because it's still on my face, and I was just exposed probably to it for too long, you
Yep.
know.
It,
And so it's
My addictive personality, when I'm with my husband, we're watching a show and it always ends on a hip cliffhanger. I'm
yes.
the one that's going, aren't we going to watch the next one? He's like, Laura, it's 10 o'clock. Like it would be smart for us to go to bed. I'm like, really? And then he'll turn it off. And then I can't even get off the couch. I don't realize how tired I am until the screen goes off and I'm wearing,
Where?
orange blue blockers, but I've learned now I need to have red nine after 9 o'clock to watch TV. I'm in red blue blockers. I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
it's so easy to get sucked in that dopamine, cortisol. My melatonin is
It's,
not kicking in like it should.
yeah, it
there's
is very important.
yes. Well, there's patents on blue light and what they do to you. So when people poo-poo on you, like, oh, this don't matter. Well, why are there patents on it then? It's addicting. And like video games. Well, the
By
video
design.
games, what's that?
It's addictive by design.
Yes, yeah, they want to get in your pocket, and it gets more nefarious than that, and that's a whole nother podcast. But yes, it's by design so they can get in your pocket, and even if you don't believe in nefarious, it's designed so they can get in your billfold, and get your money and keep you there. And
Let's get out of the nefarious because one thing we have to. I mean, we could go there, but
oh
we
yeah,
like to
but
keep
we
this
don't have
kind
time
of
to go there. That's way.
hopeful. I know, but we want to
Up
give
on
people
time,
hope.
Laura. So
See what? Sorry.
we're coming up on time, so this will be the last question.
Okay, just we know you're a MovNat
Yeah.
level 2 coach. We had so much fun. I stayed up way too late the other night, and I'm sending Andeea these videos. Andeea, you gotta see this video. Wow, I mean, we both like to do it. I've got a knee injury, so I'm not sure if I can yet. But
Well, that's
tell
the
us,
great thing about MovNat.
yeah,
You
you can
can
improve.
you can do it because it scales to wherever you are, injured or not.
Okay,
I mean, you're not gonna Kong vault over a table, over a log. You're probably with a knee injury. If you got an acute knee injury, you're not gonna do pistol squats. You're not gonna do balancing pistol squats on a 8-foot bar or whatever. You
I'm
obviously
trying. I've been trying
right,
pistols
right. But
just
if you
to
have
get
a
in that
knee,
position and hold it. But
it'll actually strengthen your knee doing
yeah,
that. But that's the nice thing about MovNat. It scales to any age, any discipline, if you're overweight, underweight, you can scale it. See, go ahead.
I was gonna say the things we would love to hear. Have you met Erwin LeCourre? How did you find it? And then what's been the journey of training?
Okay. So I found it through Dr. Kruse.
Okay.
We talked about that a little
Yeah.
earlier. I met Erwan when I got certified in Austin a couple years ago. He was there. He did the level one. He did the level one certification, and then you have a day break, and then there's 2 days of level two certification. So it was kind of a treat because the middle day, the first 2 days was level one certification, and then the middle day was Erwan's day, where it was a treat. And we're all thinking Erwan's an animal. He's like a wild animal.
Is
Not,
he?
yeah, not many people can keep up with him. He's my age, just I think a few months younger, and he can go through the jungle like a wild animal. He can, if you,
Barefoot, right?
oh yeah, look up the workout the world forgot.
Okay.
The workout the world forgot on the YouTube. Look that up, and that's Erwan in prime.
Okay.
And so good luck keeping up with that. So we're all thinking that's what we're going to do. Well, Erwan has started breath hold work. So what we did in that middle day, thank goodness, because it's pretty exertion on the certification. It's pretty exerting. And so it's 2 days of solid exercise. So in the middle day, he did his breath hold work. So he had a breath hold little mini day retreat on a creek side out in a park in Austin, grass, shade. Basically, we laid there all day and did breath hold work. And Erwan's if you can get him on, that'd be great because he's a philosopher also. I mean,
Okay, we'll try. Yeah.
he's real great at that, and the way he speaks and talks, he's very intelligent, and he knows his stuff about breath hold work. So we did a breath hold work that day. So that was a treat. And then he had to go home after that, but that was an eye opener too, or an eye closer, so to speak, because you're so relaxed, you're so at peace, it's just so amazing. And in between them two workshops, that was the perfect day for me. I got my juice, you're tired and man, I'm ready to go. And so that was, yeah, I got to meet Erwan. He's a great, amazing human being. He's a great person. And then MovNat. So it's been a journey for me. I started after I've met Dr. Kruse, or found out from Dr. Kruse and exercising outside. And he says, Erwan LaCour has MovNat. That's what you're going to want to do. Because I'm that guy. I got to be doing something. I need to move my body. I need to exercise. It feels good to do it feels great now to do the right exercises for what I've done to my body over 30 years. So I've looked up a trainer, they have day workshops too, where you can go. So I found a trainer. He was in Houston and it's been 2.5 years. I still trained with him this day. We trained with him this morning. It's as simple as walking, running, crawling. If you think crawling, well, there's a ton of different crawls you can do. And I have a grandson that's 19 months and we crawl together all the time. We chase each other crawling around, And so crawling, jumping, vaulting, climbing, lifting, carrying, throwing, and catching. So basically, it's anything you would do in nature and how you would move through nature. If you look up that video, it's like a 10 or 12-minute video. It's like how you would move through nature before our modern world. You have to, you walk through nature. Sometimes you have to run. You have to run down your food, or run away from a predator. And then it's not all, landscaped. You got logs you need to cross or jump across, or there might be a log broken, a tree down where you could vault across because you can't crawl under it or whatever, or what if there's a dog chasing you and you got to go climb up something, and then there's a lot of skills like a muscle up or a pop up you do with climbing. I mean, and in our modern world, it's kind of like the quantum world. They're like, well, why do I have to do that? I can just go to the gym. And it's like, well, if you go to the gym, you just do this and this. It's all static, controlled movements like what the modern world does. And what we do is not that. It's opposite of that. And some people are like, well, I live up north and it's 40 degrees, minus 40 in the winter. Well, you can do it inside. You can do MovNat anywhere.
Yeah.
You can do it in your living room. You can do it in nature. You can do it in a gym. You can do it anywhere you like. But I forgot to mention balancing. And that's one of the things I struggle with the most because I've had like 6 concussions and I found out you have melanin in your inner ear cochlea and that has a lot to do with your balance. So, and I've worked on that and it's gotten a lot better. I'm way better at it than when I first started. But balancing is key in MovNat because it translates up the levels. There's level 1, level 2, level 3 training. And then if you're a level 3 trainer, you can become a master trainer and teach workshops and things like that.
Is that a goal for you or?
Yes, yes.
It is.
Yeah. I have a small window though, because of what I've done to my body. I can't do some things. I'm working on it and I think I can get to it, but I'm older, which I might be one of the oldest ones to ever do level 3. But I think I'm shooting for next year or 2, but the older I get, my window shrink. My window is closing fast, because level 3's tough. You got to run around with Erwan for 4 days in the woods.
Yeah.
And, Erwan's thing is he never quit doing it. Right. He did it since he was a child and has never stopped. So it's like nothing.
It's just nature to him.
Yeah, I don't know if it's easy for him or not, but he makes it look easy. And he just does it because that's what he's done his whole life.
Yep.
So if you haven't done that your whole life and you start, but you can do level 1 stuff, you know what I mean? And one of the things I say is like, one of the things we do is get ups. How do you get up? Can you get up off the ground like without using your hands? Yeah. And they're like, why'd I have to do that? Well, if you got a grandkid like I do, you're playing with him and you want to pick him up off the, most people my age can't pick up their kid and get up off the ground. you
Yeah.
know, so
You're
if
out
you
in
can,
nature and you're trying to protect the baby from a predator.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the simple things that translate into modern life that nobody thinks about.
Yeah.
So it's really a skill-based exercise program, and it's tailored for anybody because you don't have to keep up with Irwan for 4 days in the jungle. I mean,
Okay, that's
that's a
important to
very,
know.
yeah, that's a very high level. There's only 3,000. 2 years ago, there was 3,000 MovNat trainers in the world. There's 3,000 personal trainers in Houston. You know what I mean? So it's a rare thing.
Mhm.
Even the level threes are that's a very small percentage of the trainers. So you don't have to keep up with Irwan for 4 days. You can work on your balance. And my mother-in-law, she had bad hips and she was always worried about falling. So you can work on your balance at any age,
Mhm.
and you should work on your balance. And we teach one of the things we do is teach you how to fall, teach you how to roll into a fall without hurting yourself. So you can fall. Everybody's going to fall at some point in their life, but are you going to smack or are you going to dive?
I smacked last year, broke my tibia. So
Yes, I mean that can happen too, but most people fall and they're scared of falling. And if you're scared of falling, you're going to tense up and just fall, and that's when you break something. If you practice it, you can fall gracefully. And I know an 80-year-old on a cane is not going to practice falling, but they can work on it in their head, they can work on their balance, and they can show them what to do. And then if they do fall, they've had cases, you know, anecdotal, my trainers taught a church full of elderly people how to fall. And one of them called him later and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I fell and nothing happened thanks to you teaching me how to fall." So it can translate to anything.
Yeah.
That's the lovely thing about it. And being in a gym doing this and this is not going to teach you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not. That's
Oh,
the wonderful, excuse me, the wonderful thing about MovNat.
yeah. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all that. I didn't know some of those pieces. So we are at time, and I want to just
Okay.
thank you so much for sharing your story. But before we kind of do a formal closing here, we would love for you to answer our signature question, which is, what does quantum healthy mean to you?
Hmm. Quantum healthy, what does that mean to me? Well, I kind of cheat a little at now, not a lot. I mean, to most people, I'm not cheating at all, but like after surgery, right after surgery, when I was home recovering, didn't have to work. And I know that's not realistically for most people, but I recovered from that surgery amazing. I watched one TV show in 6 weeks, and it was raining that morning, and I went inside and watched a hunting show, and for like an hour. And otherwise, I was outside. I
Yeah.
was outside the whole time. I was grounded. I had no artificial light at night except candles. I mean, like I said, when you have a disease, you have to do more. When you're healthy, you don't have to do as much. So being quantum healthy to me is just get yourself in nature, because not everybody's going to be able to do what I did for them 6 weeks. I don't do that anymore. I still have to work.
Yeah.
So being quantum healthy to me is, to put it where everybody could do it, is get in nature as much as possible.
Awesome.
I would say get in nature, like just go, get out of town, get out of your home, go
Yep.
outside.
the great summary. So and that's you, John. You can explain things so simply, and then people can do that because they get
Yeah,
it,
it's simple. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we want to make sure that people can find you. So do you have a website or do you use Instagram?
Instagram. I'm on social media. I'm working on the website. I'm on Instagram at John Warner Movement, like John/Warner/movement.
Okay.
Facebook, John Warner. Twitter, John Warner, and I'm pretty controversial on Twitter.
Oh, I'm gonna follow you then.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the space, that's kind of where I let out a little bit.
Yeah, I think
So
it's felt like a safe space for a lot of us.
yeah, so I let out there a little bit, and then I have a podcast myself. I just started, Decentralize Your Life,
Okay,
and
that's the title. Okay.
Decentralize Your Life, and that's on YouTube, Spotify. I have a Patreon page, but I just have that because I have some coming up that I'm probably not going to be able to put on YouTube because you can unedit there. So yeah, decentralize your life on all the platforms. I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page for that also, decentralize your life. And that just launched a month or so ago. So
I found you. Yeah.
good,
Just
pretty new.
I found the Patreon first, and then I realized, oh, there's a YouTube here too.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
I couldn't watch the whole video
On
because
on
you can't watch. I think you have to be behind a paywall for that.
Oh, Patreon is behind the paywall.
Right.
Patreon is behind the paywall. And like I said, I have that for there in the future because I know some of them are going to be controversial, and I know YouTube is not going to let me put some of that stuff on there. So I got that for that. So if you want to listen, I haven't had one yet. So, but I'm going to have some on there that's pretty controversial. I'm going to talk about religion, politics, and medical health and all that, and
Freedom.
try to get into some deep stuff, and YouTube's just not going to let that fly. So
Okay.
that's where an unedited podcast can sit,
We'll make sure all those links are in the show notes.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, John, I'm going to summarize just a quick thank you. First of all, thank you for your time, making time for us today. The horses are suffering because of this, maybe. But,
no, they're not. They're already taken care of this week.
They're taken care of. Good. Listen, both the military background here, I super appreciate. I know it was only 4 years, but thank you for your service.
You're very welcome.
I think one of the things you taught us, thank you for teaching us today, that even though you're doing all this quantum health stuff, it doesn't give you a license to think you're immune from getting a diagnosis. Yes. And that we still have to keep, and you said, perfect is the enemy of good, but we need to be pretty good. We still need to do, a lot of it, because we don't, like you highlighted well, the chances of cancer are much higher today because of the environments and stress levels. And I've said it over and over, but taking complex information and making it, just explaining it so simple for people, I really think that's one of your superpowers. Yep. And lastly, Andeea and I both talked about this. We both strongly feel like you're embodying this quantum biology, and think you're a living, breathing quantum savage. And just hearing about the MovNat piece now, I think people are gonna listen. There's gonna be somebody who listens to this that's gonna take that, level 1. Yeah, good deal. Yeah, just thanks for the inspiration. I think you probably gave a lot of people today with this interview.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time. Thank you for sticking around at the end of this podcast. We want to thank our sponsor, VIVARAYS, who allows for us to get this information to you. They offer top-of-the-line blue blocking glasses, which, as we know, are critical for our health these days for blocking artificial light at night. Over 90% of our time is spent indoors under artificial lights, and this puts us all prone to circadian rhythm disruption. You can use the code QUANTUMHEALTHY for a discount. Link is in the show notes.
Thank you so much for listening to the Quantum Healthy podcast. We hope you found some value in this information, and if you feel inspired, please share it and leave us a 5-star review. This will help us reach so many more people. If you want to connect with Laura, you can find her at laurakissmanwellness.com and Andeea at andeearay.com. Links are below in the show notes. Now, go find some sunlight and embrace your own quantum healthy.